Hi everyone, Lazy Fire here. Welcome back to the Hate the Player podcast. Last week I deleted the podcast. The week before that we didn't do anything. It
No.
wasn't that the podcast was like anything offensive. It was just that I'm stupid and I don't know how to do file management. This is literally
Yeah,
the
the FCC came down hard on us last week.
yeah talking bad about Polybridge. Um, so yeah, that's
I feel bad you keep shitting on Polybridge when it's.
listen.
Is
Reddit
it
loves that
great? No.
fucking
Is it
thing.
worse? Is it worth $12? Probably not. But come on, it tries.
It tries, which you don't get medals for fucking trying. Well, actually, hold on a second. Yes, you
No, you
do.
get trophies.
Yeah, you get trophies. And then your dad, who works for the Steelers, takes them away.
I actually heard a couple of dads talking the other night at the bowling alley about how even they're kind of getting fed up with like participation trophies.
I think most parents are at this point. I mean, my parents are the generation that started handing them out, and now my generation has children who think it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, one of them was like, he's like, and this, I think he was talking about his own kid's team.
oh,
He was like, yeah, they got trophies. He's like, give them a certificate or like a little like ribbon or something, but they don't need a trophy.
no. And that's
Like
like,
saying his kid's team came in like dead last or something and
oh,
still
yeah.
got a trophy.
You should see my bedroom at home when I was a kid, man. You'd play. Okay, so if you've never played micro league football, here's how that works. There are like three teams that are in your area, maybe four, who knows, depending on the number of kids. Actually, it turns out when I was like, I don't know, like early middle school, late elementary school, we'd all play like the same teams from our town, but the town's population is shot down so fast that they're actually traveling now. There's one team that just travels, which is like that says a lot, I think, about the towns in my area, anyways. But like we'd come in like first place, and you'd get a bigger trophy than if you came in last place in the four teams.
Hmm.
And it was like, okay, why did I get? Even then, I was like, why did I get a trophy? I didn't do shit all year.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. I played 5 minutes because I'm basically useless. What the hell is this shit? And like my niece did baseball this year for the first time, and they got trophies, and it's like it's t-ball. It is t-ball. They don't even keep score. Everyone bats. There's this one kid at the game I went to who was trying to stomp on other kids' feet as he rounded the bases. He was pretty cool. That
What a
kid
little
deserves a
asshole.
trophy. No, because like people were trying to tag him out, and he's like, "I'm not having that shit." It was like stomping feet. It was perfect. That kid, I like. Go ahead.
Oh
You know what? Leave your daughter here and like pick up that kid. That kid should be in the family.
God! Please tell me it was Ndamukong Suh's little kid or something.
No, he waits till someone's on the ground before he stomps them. Uh, so yeah, it was.
God, I kind of want to buy that little kid a beer.
Yeah. What's this weak shit? Domestic bullshit.
Put it in a juice box for him.
Oh man, today we were playing. My wife and I were over at her parents, and we were playing. Have you heard this Exploding Kittens?
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's the guy who does the oatmeal comic. He made a game with Kickstarter on Kickstarter. That's or he did all the artwork for it.
Huh.
And like the basic idea, it's pretty simple. It's a card game, and even like my
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw somebody posted in like the post your most recent purchase thread.
hmm, yeah. So the whole premise of the game is that basically anyone who can read can play it, and so I had a 4 year old and a 7 year old playing, and or no 5 year old, my mistake, and she'll tell you it's a mistake anyways, and like it wasn't too bad. It's a really interesting game. We were playing the ages 7 and up version, which
Yeah.
is one thing because there's apparently an adult version that goes a little bit further on some stuff. But the basic idea is you have a bunch of cards that will either be like it's not as simple as like you have explosive cards and you have kitten cards and you have to like get somebody to have two of them or something like that, which is what I thought it was. It's pretty complex. You have like like you can stop actions with one card. You can force another player to take action with another card. You can steal cards from somebody else, or somebody else has to give you a card. It's this whole thing. But the idea is that you have to end up You have a defusal card, and there are like one less exploding kitten card than the number of players in the game in the draw pile. And every turn you have to draw a card, and so you basically are tempting fate each time you grab a card. And it turned out like I can't really describe it accurately without saying what every little thing was, but it was really fun to play. And we got 2 games through. I won the first one, and I came in like third on the second one. But I had a 5-year-old bouncing on my knee the entire time, bending cards and shit. And like, yeah, I'm like sitting there, and she grabs the card because she thought it was pretty because it's like a unicorn stabbing a dude, and she's like looking at it, going unicorn, and like grabbing it and like bending it. I'm like, you can't do that. It's not even like. It's just watching this happen. Like her parents are just watching it too, not saying anything. So at one point, I grab the card from her and I just go, "Jesus Christ!" And she goes, "Jesus Christ!" like that. Oh no! She goes back to kindergarten tomorrow. So corrupting any family members that are young enough to be corrupted, I guess at this point. Um, but yeah, if you find some people who are interested in playing Exploding Kittens, it's really fun. It takes maybe 15 minutes to get through a game.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, and I think the max number of players 5 people, but if you combine the quote original set and the adult set, you can get up to 9 people going because the cards just combine and blend in seamlessly.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, it's kind of neat. And I mean, there's only a few cards really. There's the skip a turn card. There's the skip a turn and make the next person pull 2 cards card. There's the no card, and there's the cards that allow you to pull cards from other people's decks. And then if you can match up any of the like think 4 cat types, if you get 2 of a kind on any of those, you can pull a card from anyone's deck of your choosing.
Huh.
So it's kind of neat. And then there's if you get 3 of the same type of cat, you can actually say to the person next to you or any person on the board, "Hey, I want to have a card from you, and I want this type of card." So if you actually pull that off, you can pull someone's diffuse card and basically force them to get catted or exploded.
Huh.
So it's kind of neat. It's I had a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I'm kind of hit or miss on card games like that. The last one I played that, but I mean, sometimes I've been really surprised. The last one I played that when it was explained to me, I wasn't really too keen on it at the time, but ended up loving it was Flux.
Oh yeah, I've never heard of that one.
It's hard to describe because there's a ton of different versions of it. There's like a sci-fi version, of course. There's a fucking zombie version.
Of course.
But it's kind of the same thing. Like you're trying to get certain cards and get rid of other certain cards, and certain cards
Right.
will keep you from getting certain cards. And once you get like, I think it's like 3 cards in particular, you win. But it's really fun. Like the sci-fi one's got all these like really cool, like vague and not so vague, like sci-fi movie references.
Yeah.
Yeah, look into it. Yeah, I'm always hit or miss with like card games and board games because some of them are just you know complicated for the sake of being complicated, and it's really
Yeah.
not fun.
there are there are some that are just really like because we have friends or we do a weekly board or twice a month board game night.
Yeah,
And some games that people bring in, I just want to like strangle the person who brought it because they always it's like they always come in, they're like, it says it takes 45 minutes to play, and I go, okay. And then 2 hours later I'm sitting there going, this motherfucker didn't read the rules all the way. Because like it's always some guy who's just I know the exact person I'm thinking of here. I know he doesn't listen to this podcast, but I'm going to not name names. Shows up with a new game, says it takes 45 minutes to play, doesn't know any of the rules, spends half the game reading the rules, and then like winning because he didn't mention one of the rules he knew of. And it's like, god damn, gotta be kidding me. But the other game that I think is really neat is if you can get a group of friends that are into it, Super Fight. And that is a card game as well. And what ends up happening is you pull a verb or a descriptor, and you pull a noun. So you'll get something like puppies or Abraham Lincoln, and you'll get on fire or made of lava or wielding particle accelerator cannons or something like that. And then you and the person next to you, or the next person, like it goes around the table, have to debate why your set of noun and descriptor are better than the other person's set.
or like could beat them in a fight.
Yeah, exactly. And then after like a minute of debate, on either side, or total minute of debate, right? Then the table votes on who wins. And
Huh.
if you win, you go on to the next person, and it keeps going until you win 3 fights. And at that point, you just move on to the next, like the next two
You
people.
know that like the first thing I think of when you're describing this is that that one track on Wu Tang where it's like, I'll take a wire hanger and put it on the stove and just stick it in your skin like.
So you asshole up and stop feeding you and feeding you and feeding you.
Keep going back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah. Put your nuts in a drawer and slam it down like ow. Yeah.
That's exactly what I think of when you describe that game.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Like just going over who's going to torture who the best. But yeah, that's really fun. I really like that game. I've only played it a couple times because you need some time to play it because people it takes like a minute to debate and then a minute to vote, and
Oh, okay.
because it's not just like yeah if this person wins. It's like you after the battle, people start debating who they thought won the debate. So it's pretty fun. Um,
I have to
but
look
yeah,
into that. That sounds really good.
yeah, it's good.
Well,
There's
it sounds like it'd be good if you have like a
a group of
group of
friends.
creative people who don't mind, being a little ridiculous.
Yeah, you have to be able to like debate your points. There's one person who always tries to bring fucking logic into it, and it's like you have an army of puppies that are made of magma. Like you're not gonna bring logic into like,
Yeah.
oh well, your freeze attacks don't matter because magma's so hot. Like I don't fucking care. Godzilla's freeze attack does not count here, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
like that sort of thing. He's like, shut the fuck up. Like he'll bring like science and math into it, and it's like, no, just
Mm,
have fun with the game.
yeah.
Yeah, fuck that guy. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Have you had time to play anything? Are you getting hyped for Metal Gear Solid? The last.
Oh, is this going to be the last one?
Well, considering Kojima has been kicked out of Konami, and Konami basically doesn't want to make video games anymore.
Really?
Yeah. There's this whole thing about how fucked up Konami is, like internally, and like Kojima was supposed to be working on that Silent Hills game with Guillermo del Toro, the guy who made Hellboy. I
Yeah.
know Pan's Labyrinth and Pacific Rim are bigger things for some people, but Hellboy, tell you, Hellboy 2, man, best superhero movie. Anyways, so the idea, like, Kojima was supposed to be working on that. They basically stopped making Castlevania games. So the guy who made or
God, I
launched
fucking love
Castlevania.
Castlevania.
So the guy who launched Castlevania is making his own Castlevania game. It's called like Blood Soaked or something like that. Ritual of the Moon. Um,
Vassal Kenya.
okay, I don't know what that was. Yeah, I guess
Yeah,
you.
not Castlevania, just
Yeah,
Vassal Kenya.
yeah, Castlevania. Um, but like they canceled the Silent Hill game that they were working on. And the last few Silent Hills haven't been worked on in house. They've all been like exported to other studio like Avalanche and Climax and all these other companies. And then like Metal Gear Solid, even before the game was like given a release date, it was said Kojima was basically fired, and he was just going to finish up work on the game and then be gone. So he's expected to leave in like October after they ship the multiplayer component, because this is another major release that had a release date so early that they didn't actually finish the fucking multiplayer component of it before they released it. How fucked up is that? I think
Jesus.
the PC version was supposed to launch like later this month, but they decided to move it in to match up with the console release. But then they also announced that like, oh, the PC multiplayer is going to take longer to put together than the Xbox multiplayer. But I think the major issue is that like it, theoretically, the gaming market, it looks for companies like Capcom and Konami, it looks like it's kind of like shrinking in the last few years because they
Hmm.
rely really heavily on console sales, and well, let's face it, those have not been like spectacular in the last few years because a lot of people are moving to mobile gaming, and not talking like 3DS or PSP. I'm talking like straight on cell phones, and
Right.
they don't have a lot of offerings there. But the other half of it is that, interestingly enough, the PC market has been overtaking consoles for a lot of their games. Like the PC is now bigger than the Xbox One for Metal Gear Solid games, and like Konami sold more games on PC last year than they did on the Xbox, or all Microsoft platforms combined,
Oh
or something
wow.
like that. Yeah, so it's like it's a definite market shift. I could be wrong on if it was all Xbox consoles or just Xbox One, but like that's kind of painful when you've basically been working on console architecture for this long and then being told like, well, you're really better off working on PC games too. And you know, when was the last time you saw a Konami game that was like heavily PC'd? I think the latest Castlevania game, the Lords of Shadow 2 or whatever it was, that came out on PC as well. Arnold played it there. I know he did that.
Hmm.
But like, I want to say there hasn't been, besides Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, that was like I think the last game that was like the only game since the second Metal Gear Solid that showed up on PC for the Metal Gear Solid franchise. And like that's insane that they just came back to the PC after this long away. Now this doesn't matter to me because I'm gonna wait until Metal Gear Solid 5 is like super cheap before I buy it.
Right.
Which I should have used that 40% off code on that thing and got it early, but whatever. Because yeah, there's ways to get things very cheap before they're even released now on PC. It's great. But like that's that's such a weird thing that like Capcom and Konami, these companies that were pumping. When you think of those games, those companies, you think of basically the PlayStation brand. You know, and
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
and when you think about it, what was the last thing that Capcom released that wasn't a Street Fighter game?
Marvel vs. Capcom.
Oh God, don't get me on technicalities, but like when you think about it, it's kind of crazy that they're just in this very narrow band of releases on
Yeah.
both of those companies. And I mean, Namco is a little bit better because they have the Souls games now, technically, because they own From Software. Or From Software is owned by some, I don't know, but they published the Souls games in America. Um, but like, yeah, it's ugly out there for a lot of these Japanese publishers, and I think gets more. Konami and Capcom both get more money off of like basically Japanese slot machines than than anything else. So if for them it doesn't make a lot of sense to keep pushing on video games as they get bigger and more expensive. So
Yeah.
that's my bit on that. Um, so did you play anything this week,
Not
Isaac?
really. I mean, yeah, Little Isaac. That's pretty much it.
Mm,
Um, like I said, I've still been watching a good bit of a New Vegas playthrough.
uh,
And like God, I wish that was available for Mac. I mean, Fallout 3 is, but I don't know if I want to bother
you
with
should
Fallout 3.
you should just go pick up a cheap copy for your 360 and boot that thing back up for the first time in years.
I'm afraid it'll probably explode.
Yeah, it is a concern, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you get to watch that link for that MSI
oh
commercial I
my
sent you?
god, that was so bad. If I had actually not deleted my audio from the last podcast, I was going to take a still from that thing and make it the screenshot for that. But it was God, that was
Yeah.
the voiceover was so obvious and distracting. It wasn't even funny. This is the cat.
Wow, that was fast.
I love that. Yeah, it's like so to install the graphics card, all I have to do is like these 18 steps, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? It's I can install and pull out my graphics card in 5 seconds on my computer that I have now. Like,
I mean, do you know anything about those Night Blades or Knife Blades, whatever they call? Are they actually like decent machines?
depending, man, I didn't see what the specs were on that thing, but it looked like she had like a fairly old NVIDIA card and she had an AMD processor. Um, but actually, that might have been an Intel, like an older Intel processor.
Yeah.
But I mean, listen,
So,
you can.
like anything, it boils down to which components you get for it.
Oh yeah, always. But
Okay.
what you can fit in something like that is going to depend. It's dependent. But like
Right.
the fact of the matter is that like they're saying, oh, she's going to play Counter Strike or she's going to play League of Legends or something. Those games aren't super computer heavy. Like they're not super onerous in terms of requirements.
Right.
So you can play those games without too much of a
I think it
hassle.
shows her playing Battlefield 4 and like
Oh
shooting her
yeah,
teammate.
of course it does. Um, I would say that you could probably play Battlefield 4 on that thing with what they were showing, but I just wouldn't expect the world out of it.
Right.
Um, I think you're better off just build like. Listen, the fact of the matter is that when you buy a pre-built of any nature, there's like 150% markup on almost everything that goes
Oh
with that thing,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it's just absolutely like, oh, I'm gonna get this really small form case. I've got news for you. You could go and buy the case and then all the components you want to put in it for way
Right.
cheaper.
That was really the most impressive part was
Mm,
the case. Like you've basically got this computer case that's smaller than a case of beer.
right.
Much smaller. It's like the size of a 12 pack.
Yeah, you could go out and buy a mini ATX. It's not and something that'll fit in it. It's not too difficult to find those things. I mean, just go on PC Part Picker and start looking through the cases. They're very small ones that are just like basically big enough to fit your RAM, your graphics card, and that's about it. Like your power supply might be external, um, which wouldn't be too terrible. But yeah,
Yeah.
but like I just don't see the point of flying around with a PC and then going, all you have to do is unscrew. It's like, wait a minute. The second you say I'm going to take this in my
Yeah.
carry-on,
If
I
yeah.
like,
Yeah, the fact that you see her loaded up in her carry-on and it's literally that and like two small shoes or
yeah,
little makeup bags or
yeah.
like toiletry bags. Like, okay, where'd you get the screwdriver from?
I
Was
want to
that in your
know.
hotel?
I want to know how you convinced the TSA to let you on the fucking plane. Like, yeah, well, what's in here? Well, it's a
Because
bunch
she's a
of
part of the
electronics
crew.
components and a screwdriver, obviously. Um,
Oh, that's just what I use to poon noobs.
yeah. Oh God. I think she's gonna pwn some noobs on this flight, guys. We might want to be careful. Headshots everywhere. Oh boy. And then sometimes I use it to plant the bomb. Like, yeah, all right, yeah, get off the flight, please, right now. Like, I just, I,
Yeah, if anybody listening wants to know what we're talking about, I don't know if it's back on YouTube, but it was we talked about this in the deleted
uh,
episode.
uh,
Um, it's a horrible commercial MSI put out, or not a commercial, like a
it's like
tutorial MSI put out.
infotainment kind
Yeah,
of thing.
it's an advert tutorial, an advertorial, on how to put together their like little Nightblade micro PCs, and they use this girl who's a flight attendant, but she's also a hardcore gamer, and she's putting this thing together in her hotel room.
Oh
And the
God.
captain calls, and the flight's been rescheduled for an hour from now. So she's just showing how you can put this thing together quickly, and she puts it in her carry-on roller bag. And
Yeah.
so look it up. It's MSI took it down like within like 2 hours of originally posting it, I
Oh, I
think.
don't doubt that.
But you can still find it. Just look up awful MSI commercial. You should be able to find it.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too difficult. Yeah, that.
But yeah, the voiceover is so bad. Like you got to wonder like what that girl's voice sounds like if they chose to go with that.
Yeah, that was just.
It sounds like her mom is overdubbing her voice
Oh
on her
no.
daughter.
That's actually not terrible as a. Yeah, it's not a terrible assumption there. Like, I was just impressed. At a point, I was impressed that they like even went through with putting that anywhere because it was just so fucking horrible.
Like,
It's
well, we
just,
spent the money on it.
why did you spend the money on this? I don't
I
know.
want to know how much she got paid to do that awful thing.
Yeah, what would be worse is if that was actually her voice and she just like they forgot to bring microphones that day, so she had to fucking mime everything. Like, imagine that fucking world, you know?
It really sounds like the safety briefing on an airplane.
Yeah, well, she's used to it. Because that was definitely a real ass fucking flight attendant. I tell you what, the majority of flight attendants who are, 50 plus because of the way their union structured definitely would not look.
Now I could see like what is it like Virgin has like
Oh,
did
yeah,
somebody like
sure.
rated like the hottest flight attendants by airline, I think. So yeah, if she was flying on
Course they
Virgin,
did.
then maybe.
Fucking course they did. It's always got to be
Just
a popularity contest.
Richard Branson fires you as soon as you turn 32.
Ah, yeah. That's how I feel though. It's basically Logan's Run, but an airliner.
Light day. Renew, renew.
Oh my god, perfect. Um, so yeah, that fucking ad, man, that or whatever it was supposed to be. I don't understand. I feel like that's gonna be like, if they ever find the outtakes reel from that, it's gonna be the new Winnebago Man, and it's just people are gonna watch it, and that woman's gonna show up at conferences in 20 years, and like,
Yep.
yeah, I was the MSI person. It's like, or
Boo,
no,
boo
uh,
this woman.
yeah. I actually imagine it'd be more like, I was the MSI woman back in. It's like,
Oh
oh
God.
God, I smoke too much. Yeah. So I actually did play a different game this week before I get into
Uh-oh.
the Arma events that I want to tell you about because you'll find them hilarious, and I wish Arnold was here to recount them as well. I played this game called L.A. Cops,
Okay.
and it is a game where you are a cop and you have a partner and you shoot a bunch of criminals because it's L.A. But it's like all 1970s themed, and I don't quite know if it's like a fun game or if it's a really shoddy attempt at a game. I haven't figured that out yet, and I played through most of it already. Um, so the idea is that it's like a top-down kind of isometric sort of right. It's like sort of like XCOM meets Hotline Miami, if you will.
Hmm.
So you have that top-down 3D perspective kind of thing going on,
Right.
but you don't have turns or anything like that. You just it's like all action, and you have a partner, and you can put the partner in certain spots, or supposedly you're able to take control of them. I don't know if that wasn't implemented yet or what's going on, but every single time I hit the switch cop button, it wouldn't do it. so, so the only way I could get a cop to have a gun that I wanted them to have instead of the starting pistol or something like that was to die, and then the other cop would pick up a gun, and then I could revive like the person who died, and it's like this whole thing. Um, and there's also no exit the game button on the main menu. You have to like Alt F4 out of it. And the game talks about being able to upgrade your characters between cutscenes or between missions, but it never actually puts you in the screen to do that or switch partners. So you just end up going into the next mission, and I'm sitting there going like, "Man, this is a really long mission. There's been like 5 cutscenes," and I realize, "Oh no, I've almost beaten the game. That's all that's going on here." Like, there's some really weird shit, and like sometimes you the way doors you interact with doors in that game, you just walk through them, and sometimes they'll like open fully and sometimes they'll just like go to hell and you won't be able to go all the way through them. So the easiest way to fight enemies in that game is to shoot a door so they'll come running through and your partner will automatically cap them. In addition, there is a lock-on mechanic by hitting the F button, but the game decides which person to lock onto. It doesn't take any bearing from where you aim, so it'll just like randomly lock onto somebody 3 rooms away. Now, the only problem with this is that the lock on button is the only reliable way to hit anybody, because there have been times where I've been like inches away from someone, aiming right at them, like the cursor right over their faces, and doing nothing to them. Like, we'll be exchanging bullets from an inch away. And if either of us moves at all,
It's like the Naked Gun,
yeah,
where they're shooting from the barrel.
yes, yeah, more or less exactly like that. It's so weird. It's like it was. It's all made in Unity, so I think there's some weirdness with the engine in and of itself. But when it works, it's really fun. It's like, it's this run and gun shooter. It's a little bit of strategy. It's a little bit of knowing what to do and knowing the layout of the level, and it can be pretty neat. But then again, there's the times where it's just like I died there 20 times in this one level because the door wouldn't open all the way. Like, there's nothing I can do. That is the only direction I can go in, and the door didn't open all the way, so I died. Like,
Yikes.
yeah, it's I don't know, but I bought it for cheap because the Humble store has a sale going on right now. So I'm not too distressed over the length of the game nor the difficulty of it, which is decided almost entirely by if the game wants to be a douchebag right now. Because, like I said, it has no bearing over, like, when it auto targets, it has no bearing over where your cursor is. You can put your cursor over a specific person, and it'll go, no, fuck you, boom, and fly over to the other side of the screen.
Oh
But
my
the
god.
funnier part of the whole cursor thing is that if you kill the guy you're aiming at, it doesn't lock onto the next person nearby or anything like that. It just goes back to where you were aiming before you fucking hit the F button to lock onto somebody. So you have to either quickly hit the F button, hope it locks onto the right person, or you have to really quickly reorient yourself. Um, so there's some really weird shit in that game, and I can't tell if it's just poorly made or just like no one thought to do certain things.
What's it called again?
L.A. Cops.
I'll be sure not to get it.
Yeah, good plan. So, anyways, final topic, and I swear to God we're going to sleep. Because I'm tired. But I played Arma or an Arma mod with Arnold this weekend.
Oh god.
So we ended up raiding a base of some people, and Arnold ended up like downing this dude, who then jumped into the Mumble channel we were in to tell us that, hey, by the way, we're goons too. they just they didn't get into the Mumble channel with us, and they were just like tooling around, and we fucking invaded their base, shot them to death, and blew up their car. So that was
Goon on
kind of
goon violence.
yeah,
What's the world coming to?
yeah. So after that, we were like, well, we had a group of people, and it's like, well, tooling around in a truck is one thing. Let's get a helicopter. So in the mod we're playing Exile, you can like take cars and vehicles and weapons and all this shit and bring them to a trader, sell all your shit, buy more shit or all whatever, and then you can buy vehicles with it, like helicopters and all this other stuff.
Hmm.
So Arnold and I and like four other people are just waiting on this highway that people are always going to come down and across because that's where the trader is. There's only one trader on the entire map, or it's like a safe zone or something like that. So everyone is hanging out near this thing. And as people are coming down the road, we're just shooting out their tires and then capping them, and then taking their cars back to the trader to sell them. Uh, and so at one point, this like giant fuck all military truck comes down the street, like armored up and everything. We're like, fuck this guy up, and so everyone just lays into his tires because the game has tire physics and all that shit, and just the guy's tires just pop out. He can't go anywhere. He can't even make it like 5 feet. So we just shoot him right through the windshield and steal his truck, and we sell that thing for enough money to buy a helicopter.
Oh.
So
That's
Arnold
fantastic.
Arnold buys the helicopter, and it lands. So this is a server with a lot of admins on it, and they just hang out in the sale zone and like act like douchebags basically. So when you buy a helicopter, you're not supposed to park it in that zone because they don't want you taking up space for spawning vehicles. The admin had a helicopter that he refused to fucking move, and so when Arnold brought his in, before he could even take off, it knocked the rotors off because it hit the rotors of the other guy's helicopter. So the admin fixed it for free, and then moved his helicopter slightly, and
Just slightly.
like no, they moved Arnold's helicopter slightly.
Oh.
Arnold takes off again. He takes like a quick, victory lap of ha ha ha, we have a helicopter. Well, he lands it back in the space that he was in before and knocks his rotors off again, and it starts leaking fuel. And so there's this whole thing. Server resets. We come back, and we basically are like, "Hey, admin, you really got to either move your helicopter or fix this one." So the admin finally just says, "Fine, I'll fix your helicopter." Fixes the helicopter, doesn't give us any fuel. Arnold goes, "Hey, this thing's leaking fuel because of your helicopter being parked there. Do you think maybe you owe us some fuel?" The guy goes, "No." So Arnold starts up the helicopter again. Rotors come off immediately. He goes, "Hey, what the fuck?" So the guy refuses to move the helicopter again. He's like tired of Arnold's shit. So Arnold just repairs it, and he's like, "We gotta like either ram the helicopter to move it or like something." Well, the truck we had is gone. We don't have any money for a truck, so I steal a guy's bicycle. I steal a guy's bicycle and I ram it into a helicopter until it moves far enough that it actually is not getting its rotors torn off by just starting up. That's great. Arnold has 21 liters of fuel in the helicopter at this point. And so, are you serious? So we load a truck up of people because we find a vehicle at this point, drive to the nearest gas station, and we have to siphon gas out of the truck into tanks to bring it over to the helicopter so Arnold can land the helicopter at the same gas, like have enough fuel to land the helicopter at the same gas station. Get the fuel, everything set up, get back in the helicopter, and we were told by the admins there was this PvP area. So we go over there and we're like, why fight these guys when you can just steal their cars? So that's exactly what happened. Arnold stole like a car and almost got another one later on and just brought it back to the traders and sold it and like being dicks to people. It was great. But then on the second attempt to steal a car, Arnold got like the helicopter got shot in the fuel tank while we got out, and so on the way back with the car, the helicopter hits zero fuel, and instead of like gliding down gently or something like that, or just falling, it explodes in midair. And so we're stuck out like hundreds of miles from the outpost because it takes a while to fly, and we're just getting like fucking shot at by these two guys who had made a home there. We had no way to get back because we had no car. It's
Jeez.
like, God, it was fucking ridiculous. It took that whole thing though probably took about 3 hours to do because a lot of it was just like staging and planning and getting stuff together for like an assault or anything like that. So it was kind of neat. It's definitely different from like a Battlefield game or something like that.
Right.
But I have to play a little bit more of it before I can form a solid opinion. But I was really happy playing with people and just like fucking around. So that is the Exile mod story. I wish Arnold was here to talk a bit more about it. But
He is
yeah,
somewhat of a poet.
he is a poet. Yeah, he was fucking. Oh man, I have a video I just uploaded actually that is what happened the while we were trying to get the helicopter squared away. Somebody else had landed a helicopter on a helipad and didn't go well for them either. But oh man, I really want to get back into that. I have to go and do that at some point. I tried to play it last night, no one was on. Um, but yeah, I think unless you have anything else, I don't want to keep us too long.
No, not really.
Yeah, Exile mod. Go get Exile. Come play it with goons. It's a
I'll
lot of
see what
fun.
I'll see what I can do.
Yeah, sure. I don't think your fucking MacBook's not going to run ARMA 3, friend. So I'm kicking with a pretty
You
high
never
end.
know.
I'm running a fairly high end graphics card. Nothing like not the $600 monstrosity some people have, but not bad. And I was getting like 30 frames per second.
Oh, jeez.
Sometimes dropping below 20, and I'm like, my NVIDIA's like internal software tells you, oh, you can run this thing at 1080p and blah blah blah, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna run this all on high instead of ultra, and that was pretty bad. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll drop some of these things down to standard then. So I would like to have non-slideshow speeds at times.
Right.
Because when you go, I think some areas, I think it's the mod itself or the server. Because if you go in certain areas, you just can't get decent frame rates. Everyone's complaining. Like, I've got two GTX 980s, like, whatever. And I'm still running at 20 frames per second. Like, well, that's good. I am too. Fantastic. Um, but yeah, I was having fun with it, even with the graphical issues. But there are people there, man. There's this one guy who's trying to bait me to getting out of the safe zone to come chase him down when he had a guy sniping at me. I was like, I'm not that dumb. I'm dumb, but I'm not dumb enough for that. I was trying to convince one of the guys I was with in the game to just like come and run the other dude over with his truck. It's like, yeah, it'd be funny as hell. Do it. Couldn't get that to happen either.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. But hey, it was cool. It was fun. But hopefully next week I'll have a final verdict on LA Cops, which is probably Alt F4. Like I checked to see if that game is like completed because I'm sitting there going like, there's no way it's got to be like an early access game or
Right.
something like that, and I don't think it is. Let me pull it up real quick. I thought it was released like last year. Yeah, it had an update. I don't know. It doesn't say if it's early access, which I think is kind of stupid.
Hmm.
I honestly think they should really label these things even when you're in the game if you bought them. Um, I don't think it is. I think it's a full-on release.
Oh wow.
Yeah, release date March 13th, 2015.
It's like, hey, what do you think of that LA Cops game? I can't stop playing it. Oh, it's that good? No, literally, I can't stop playing it because there's no way to exit the game.
I've almost listen. I've almost beat the game. I have 1.6 hours played.
Oh, that's great.
And of course, Kotaku is like, I'm telling all y'all it's sabotage. That's their. Like, I don't understand. You can play local co op, that's nice. You can apparently context sensitive commands, but I still can't hit the fucking R button to switch between cops, which is something they make you do in the tutorial. Might be a problem. I tested it out. It's not even like, oh, you have to be off screen for this to happen, or you have to point at the cop that you want to switch to. No, you just simply can't. It's like, I don't understand. And I tried even hitting it on the controller. Doesn't work. What the fuck?
Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. So, enough about that. So hopefully next week we'll find a time where Arnold can be here. But you and I think, are going to play some Counter Strike this week.
Hopefully, yeah.
I think you have to get your shit together though, because I don't know if you're going
Oh
to be able
yeah,
to
God, I
play.
gotta qualify up. We may have to push it to next week. I might have to.
No, let's just play casual for a bit, because I don't think you'll be able to play with me either way, because you don't. You're probably not in the gold rank, are you? Because I'm Nova One,
I don't
motherfucker.
know. Well, you
Yeah.
need to stop playing so much.
I haven't. I've played maybe 2 games in the last 3 weeks.
That's 2 games too many.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have been basically documenting all of my gameplay for the last few months in that game, and you may have noticed a marked drop off in video production over the last few weeks, because not only have I not played that often, the last time I played, so I played the video that I'm going to put up probably in the next day from when we're recording this. I did really well. I was like 26 and 13. We barely lost more than 2 rounds the entire game. I was just like tagging people with like just random hits, just like pop, 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 and the guy's dead. And I'm like, yeah, this is fantastic. I'm fucking picking up on shit, and everything's going well. Going to the next game last week, and I just could not, for the life of me, shoot somebody. Like I could be inches away from them with an AK, and just I could not hit them. It just wouldn't work. And I'm like, either I'm fucking up or this game's fucking up. I don't know which. But I got completely schooled in that game, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I even. And I realized I was like thinking about not putting it up, and then I realized I didn't even record my voice, so didn't matter either way.
Nice.
Because I hadn't. I forgot my recording setup because I haven't had to record anything in so long that it's. I forgot the process I had to go through to get everything synced up and everything. So that was fun. That was entertaining. I really do need to get back into it, because I'm like, man, the reason I did well the last time I played was because I had been playing a bit more, and I'd been like
Right.
playing consistently. And right now it's like, ever since I finished the Shadow of Mordor LP, I've been like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna play every game I have in my library at once. And so I'm just going through and like playing an hour of this, an hour of that, and it's been fun. But it's led me to have really bad playing ability with Counter Strike, I guess, because it's one of those games where people like sit down and they play it from the time they get home to the time they go to sleep, and I don't have that dedication.
No.
No. So, anyways, fuck yourself. Go
Go
fuck
fuck
yourself. Go fuck
Roll
yourself.
Tide. Football season starts next weekend.
Oh yeah, well, listen, football season's all year in Alabama because they have nothing else to do. Oh,
Football and hate
fuck
crimes.
yeah. Hey, woo! Confederate flag. Oh man, how many Confederate flags do you think are going to be at Alabama games this year?
Oh God.
Too
I don't
many.
want to think about it.
Yeah, yeah. Get ready. Anyways, roll tide.
Roll Tide.